guys, welcome to True Power. Beautiful day here in Connecticut. Man, I think we really turned a corner with the weather thing. Anyway, I have played a little bit. I have taught a little bit. I've done some kettlebell. I'm ready to go. Let's see what we got. And you saw the thumbnail. When true power doesn't always make sense. Let me explain. All right. Once again, hard pressed, guys, for that double C to come much easier or to come much more open. With every passing day, it gets easier and more open, and it's just wonderful. Anyway, so you saw the thumbnail, and I've been talking to a handful of my students lately. This topic has come up. And first of all, with one student, a young student, had a couple lessons. Very talented guy, but he's coming from an absolute bathtub of a mouthpiece. And, yeah, he wants to play high notes and all this sort of stuff. And he's with a band where they blast their brains out. And that's kind of tough. And I keep on telling him, if you want a bigger tone, less air. Guys, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Even on a physiological point, it's kind of hard to grasp. But again, it's about lip vibration, the amount and speed of those vibrations, and the width of the vibration as well. Okay? That is where your tone, power, range, and endurance comes in. And the fact of the matter is, again, it didn't come across in the laptop, I'm sure. But guys, that is more sound than many people make with their trumpet. And it has nothing to do with more air and more blowing. And especially to get that through to a young kid who didn't start with me. The kids that start with me have no problem, because they are blowing the walls down without overblowing right from the first day they play. Okay? The other kids that have come from a different background, they struggle a little bit, unless they weren't overblowing in the first place. And I told all of my students, at one point or another, I do occasionally get off. I do. At this point, I can feel it immediately, and I can get back to it. But I do occasionally get off. And when I get off, guys, believe it or not, it's when my chops feel fabulous. And I feel on top of the world, and I'm thinking, oh, man, Maynard couldn't do that. I'm kicking my idol's butt. And all of a sudden, I start blowing and start blowing and blowing. Now I can feel it immediately. Several years ago, not so much. I would keep blowing and blowing, and before you know it, a couple days later, geez, my throat hurts, and I'm struggling, and the tone overblowing. Guys, it's almost an innate thing. I mean, if you want to be heard over a large crowd, what do? You yell. I mean, you don't have less air to get louder. But that's what I'm asking you to do. And guys, all of you guys, unless you start with me from day one, all of you have to fight that every day. Okay? Now, as you know, and as you listen to, I am not talking about playing with a tiny little sound. No, my sound is big as a house, okay? But I'm not overblowing. That's a toughie, okay? Now, the corners, we can talk that away very easily. That's just simple. The tighter the corners get, the tighter the vibrating reed, and it's going to thin out. I mean, that's easy, okay? So physiologically, we can explain that. But here's another one. Again, and I touched on it one of the last vids. It might have been yesterday. Yes, it was. Great trumpet player. Great trumpet player. Trying to keep it open. Trying to keep it open. And guys, when you're trying to go above that, something has to change. And if it's not the open jaw, it's got to be and that chokes it off. The more you're trying to be open, the more choked off you're going to get. See, it doesn't make sense. Okay? Myself, on the other hand, I am so locked in right up at the point of attack. And I'm compressing so much. Behind that tone, in my oral cavity and in my neck, is wide open. Wide open. So in my tone, you can hear it. It's absolutely wide open in all registers. And guys, you don't get that. Quite the opposite. You get that. Defies logic. Defies logic. Okay? One more, and you know what I'm going to say. How in the world can a 1SB mouthpiece, which has a 20 rim, it's the same rim as Horst Fischer, and a Harry James Cup, which compared to what Vacchiano was playing, compared to what Mel Broyles was playing, it's a tiny little screamer. How in the world can that get a full, rich tone in all registers, on all trumpets? It's because, among other things, the balance and everything is perfect. After 60 years of trying to figure this out, Jerry got the balance, and it only happened 6-8 months ago that it actually came to fruition. But not only that, with the perfect balance, it allows you to keep the chops in the proper vibrating spot. Okay? So even though I can go to a 1C mouthpiece right now, I would collapse and I would lose all tone, power, range, and endurance. Even though it's a bigger mouthpiece. You'd think I'd be able to play much stronger, much bigger. Doesn't make sense. When true power doesn't make sense. The proof of it is, though, every single one of my students, every single one of my students that took a lesson here on the channel, and it's happened before that, but every single one of my students that took a lesson here in the channel have all improved. Every single one of them. Some of them by leaps and bounds. Some of them a step here, a step there. Every single one of them is improving. Okay? I just got off the internet with one of my students in Florida. Older gentleman, retired lawyer, and I'm telling you, if you could have heard him play, and it's going on about 8 months now, originally. It was all Claude Garden stuff. Strain. And it just recently, the last 3 weeks to a month, that it just really started kicking in. Really started kicking in. That he is killing high Cs. His tone up to a high C, guys, is good and clear and as rich as anybody in a major orchestra. Anybody up to a high C. Okay? Now, don't get me wrong. He doesn't have the ability or the desire to play in a symphony orchestra. Don't get me wrong. But his tone, his power up to a high C is just as good as anybody in a symphony orchestra. He's in his 70s. He sounds fabulous. He sounds fabulous. And I told him, he thought I was crazy. And I said, look, I never I never kick a student out of the nest if they don't want to go. Never do it. I am here for everybody. But the fact of the matter is, you don't need me anymore. As long as you got that high C and you know how to do it, all it takes is more of the same. More compression, more firmness of the tone, which relaxes the corners, which gives you high notes, which means you don't have to strain as much, you don't have to blow as hard. So that's that. Now he's going to keep going. He plays in a concert band, local concert band, and a local jazz band. He loves the jazz, loves Harry James and whatnot. And he wants a real good F or G above high C. He'll have it. He'll absolutely have it. May take a little longer than somebody else, may take a little less than somebody else, depending on where they're coming from. But it does happen. And he's playing a 1SP. And his low Gs are just as big as a house. Once again, low G plays as good as any symphonic player. So anyway, the moral of the story, sometimes it doesn't make sense. You've got to feel it to make it happen. Sometimes it doesn't make sense, but it works. And it is the best system ever in the history of trumpet. Love you all. Have a great day. Eat your fruits and vegetables and live life with true power.